Hi, the purpose of this video is to show you how I do the polyethylene glycol or PEG cell fusion that we do for shuttling assay. So first, I have cells that are growing in a 6-well plate. And in fact, these cells are growing on top of a glass cover slip. So I'll show you. Right here, a small square glass cover slip that was placed in the wells prior to seeding the cells. So for the shuttling assay, we would have two types of cells on each cover slip. First, we would add CHOK1 cells that were transfected with either GFP tap or GFP lamin. And then we would add some C2C12 cells that were labeled with the cytoplasmic dye called CMTMR. So both cell types will be co-seeded, growing side by side on each of the cover slips. So the next thing is we prepare the polyethylene glycol. So what I use for all of my cover slip work is subway tiles, so ceramic tiles that I get at the local hardware store. And on top of these tiles, I add a piece of parafilm. This is a piece of parafilm. So if you got a kit, you have both the tile and the parafilm in there. And the parafilm has a thin layer of paper, and then the parafilm itself is a thick piece of plastic, sort of like saran wrap that is very stretchy. And so first you have to adhere the piece of parafilm to the tile, and so you want to wet the tile either with water or with ethanol, which is my favorite way. And then you place the piece of parafilm on top of the tile with the paper side up. And then you flatten it out. You want it nice and flat. Okay. And then you simply remove the piece of paper from the parafilm. All right. Et voila. You have a tile with a piece of parafilm. And this parafilm will help. So you'll see we'll be pipetting solutions on that, but it also help picking up the cover slips from the tiles because of the soft, thick layer of parafilm, and which will protect the cover slips, the forceps that I use, which are have a nice sharp and pointy end to them. All right, so what I do next is I would add my drop of polyethylene glycol to the parafilm, like so. Not sure if you can see that. It's actually moving around. Here we go. Oops, it moved off. I'll put another one on. All right. And then you want to pick up your cover slip, wash it in a buffer. I use PBS, and then place it on top of your PEG. All right, so when you're growing cells on cover slip, you have to remember that the cells are growing only on one side of the cover slip, and that's the side that's facing up. So when I pick up my cover slip, I notice which side, so I'll do it again. I have to know, you have to keep track of which side the cells are on. And in this case, the cells will be the same side as my thumb. Okay. And so I grab my cover slip. I will remove excess media by blotting it on a piece of paper towel or Kim wipe. And then I wash it in a cup by gently waving back and forth in a PBS, and then drain the cover slip excess to remove the excess PBS, And then again, this side is the side that the cells are on. We're going to put the cells down. So I'm going to flip it so that my thumb is facing down and the cells are facing the drop of polyethylene glycol. And I will put them on polyethylene glycol. Okay. At that point, you start your timer for 1 minute. The time is crucial. If you do not leave the cells long enough in the PEG, you will not get good cell fusion. But if you leave it too long, then you will get cell death. So you leave it on for 1 minute. And after that, you'll need to remove the cover slip off, wash the excess PEG off, and then put them back in the dish and then in the incubator. Now, the reason I like to do my cover slip work on a piece of parafilm like this is that it allows you to use small volume of solution. So that's very good if you're using expensive solution, for example PEG, or if you're using antibodies solution, which we'll do next week when we do immunofluorescence. So this allows you to use very small amount of volume for each cover slip. Now, in this case, the cells are facing down on top of the drop, and the cells are not fixed. The cells are still alive. And so if I were simply, when my 1 minute is over and I'm ready to remove the cover slip from the PEG, if you were just to lift it up from the piece of parafilm, because of the suction, you might have cells sticking to the piece of parafilm, so you might lose a lot of your cells. So instead, what you want to do is add some PBS underneath the cover slip and to let it rise up. So you increase the volume underneath the cover slip by simply pipetting some buffer next to the cover slip right into the parafilm. And you should be able to see it lift up. Go. And maybe I'll add some more just so you maybe easier to see on a camera. So the cover slip is floating. Actually, it's going to start floating away in a minute, and so that I can remove it without being afraid of suctioning off my cells. So now the cells are facing down. They are on the side opposite to my thumb. Okay, so I have to keep track of that. Now I'm going to blot the excess PEG, wash the cover slip again in PBS. Okay, now the cells are still on the side of the cover slip that's facing you. I'm going to blot the excess PEG, PBS, place the cover slip back in the well, place the lid back on, and then put the cells in the incubator. Thank you.